What can be expected from the TLC plating? If using silica, which is polar, then the compound B, which is less polar, will travel higher than A, which is more polar and will be more attracted to the polar stationary phase. Because C is more polar than B, it will not travel as high as B, but because it is less polar than A, then C will travel higher than A. The result will be 3 spots, with the compound C being the spot in the middle.
In the column, B will travel the quickest through the silica. This will be the first seen in the TLC plating. Then C will be seen, and finally A will be seen last, because it is the most polar compound of the three. To determine the proper element, a balance should be used. The element can be composed of hexane and ethyl acetate. Hexane is much more nonpolar, while ethyl acetate is much more polar. The element can be adjusted according to the TLC results. A RF value of roughly 0.3 will be a good starting point as it is not overly nonpolar, so that both substances run through too quickly, but also polar enough to separate the two but not retain the polar substance too much. If the element is too much of either polar or nonpolar, then add the opposite. For example, if the element is too polar, then adding hexane would decrease the polarity. Silica gel is a polar absorbent. This can be used to separate the organic compound A via column chromatography. To prepare the column, a cotton piece is placed before anything else to prevent the silica from running out. Using an element of choice, add this to the silica gel to make a slurry.
With a pass your pipette, and you're gonna go like this. Take it and then you go like this.
Prepare the column by pouring some of the element into the column.
Making an even layer, and then you're gonna
If the cotton piece did not move, then the column is ready for the silica. Carefully, the silica can be poured into the column by using a powder funnel.
you're just gonna say you want the depth of that much. And then just be like, and you're gonna leave a time. Okay, so what you're gonna say? Ready?
Let the silica settle by opening the stopcock until there is just a little bit of element above the silica. But never let this level drop below the silica as it will dry out. Tapping the sides while the element runs out will help the silica settle evenly. Repeat the steps of preparing the silica until the column is compacted. This is when the silica no longer moves. The column should be roughly 10 times the diameter of the column. So for example, if the diameter of the column was 20 millimeters, then the height of the column should be at least 200 millimeters.
To prepare the sample being separated, dissolve in a solvent. In this case, ethyl acetate was used. Using a pasteur pipette, drop the dissolved sample on the walls of the column so that it trickles down the walls.
You should just upload it on Google Drive. Maybe at your house, because it's better.
Open the stopcock so that the sample is absorbed into the silica.
I mean, 2 of them are already uploaded and just processing.
Yeah, it's gonna take a while.
Adding an additional small amount of eluent and then opening the stopcock to let the sample be absorbed further. Rinse the walls with more eluent and continue adding more while getting it run out. Filling labeled test tubes. These test tubes are the fractions that will be used for TLC plating. To spot the TLC plates with the fractions, a capillary spotting pipette can be used. Spotting is done by quickly dabbing the pipette with the fraction on the TLC plate. Using UV light, check that there is a dark or purple spot on the plate. This assures that there is enough of the mixture on the plate to continue developing it. In the chamber, I went to 150 milliliters. Put in your TLC plate and then cover it with a watch glass. The eluent should be low enough so that it doesn't touch where you put your sample. Develop the plate until it's roughly 5 millimeters from the top. Then, take it out and mark wherever the eluent reached. Let it dry, and once it is dry, go to the UV light and observe and mark where the new spots are, if there is any. Make sure to mark which fraction is being spotted on the plate before developing it.